Hey, what's up? Bob DeBoo here for Open Studio. Thanks for watching. So today we're going to talk about quartal triads, and you hear me enunciating that. I don't want to say quartal or like a chord, like a piano chord. I'm talking about quartal triads. Triads made up of fourths, which are slightly different than the normal triads that we're accustomed to. Tertiary triads, triads built off of thirds. Okay, so let's talk about that first. Let's just revisit regular triads that we're used to. We're going to start in the key of F. It's an arbitrary place to start. So F, and then F major triad. So we would start on the root of F, go up a major third to hit A. Cool. A to C is a minor third. And then we would also get a perfect fourth from the fifth to the root. And that's the formula basically for a major triad, no matter what inversion you're in. Let's look at first inversion real quick. We would start on A, up a minor third, up a perfect fourth to the F again. And then again from the root to the third is a major third, of course. Second inversion, the fifth to the root, perfect fourth. The root to the third, major third, because we're playing a major triad. And then the third to the fifth is a minor third, that intervallic shape, right? If you do the same to minor, F minor, that's a minor third. From the A flat to the C is a major third. So it's just dividing the octave in different ways, right? So that's the basic DNA of a regular triad that we're more accustomed to, the tertiary triads. Quartal triads. We're talking about fourths. So quartal triads are made up of perfect fourths and major seconds, and there are some variations that we're really not going to get into today. Can only cover so much in this video, but there are other variations you can do utilizing tritones and half steps, and those are really hip too. Maybe we'll hit those another time. But today, just the straight up run-of-the-mill quartal triads, which is enough to shed because you can get some great information out of this. So let's stay in the key of F. We're going to go, F is our root, and instead of going to A, we're going to go up a perfect fourth to B flat, right? Now go up another perfect fourth to E flat, and then we've got our basic root position quartal triad. If we throw the root on top of that, up a major second, then we have the whole triad kind of spelled out, and then having the octave on top of that. So again, F to B flat to E flat, and then E flat to F. And you of course can do this up. Keep building and building and building. If we put that in second inversion, we get a slightly different shape, right? Or it falls differently on the fingerboard of the bass, and you could do all of this today on upright bass, electric bass. You could do it on any instrument, honestly, but obviously I'm doing it on upright bass. So first inversion, F quartal triad, B flat to E flat, there's our perfect fourth. E flat to F, it's our major second, and then F to B flat. So you instead end up with a shape like this. Which if you've ever put on a Love Supreme, that should ring some bells, right? But just to revisit the sound of a root position, quartal triad in F. We'll get into some of that again, or later. First inversion, triad. You could also call this maybe a B flat with the fourth and the fifth in it. The sound is what we're looking for, and how we're building it is most important. Let's look at the second inversion of this F quartal triad. It would be E flat. So root position, we're starting on the root. B flat would be our first inversion. So our second inversion would have to begin on the E flat as our lowest note. Major second from E flat to F, F to B flat, that perfect fourth, and then another perfect fourth from B flat to E flat. So we end up with this. A different shape that falls pretty well under the bass. And any of those notes are fair game for this fourthy type of sound, this quartal sound on the instrument. And again, these don't always have to be perfect fourths. They could be some tritones in there. Don't always have to have major seconds. Some of these minor seconds are really cool shapes too. But we're not doing that today. All right, so that's the basic structure of a quartal triad, or how it's built. How do we practice it? So let's just take that F root position quartal triad, that F, B flat, E flat, and let's put the octave on top of it. Cool. So let's take that shape and move it up chromatically. Now start on F sharp. Now on G, A flat, A. So I'm using that same formula, B flat up a fourth to E flat to A flat. It lays on the bass pretty well, because the bass is tuned in fourths too, so we've got that going for us, right? Cool, right? Pretty simplistic. So that's all with the shapes ascending, and we're moving them up chromatically. You could change around the direction of the shape. Etc., where I'm just flipping the direction. You could change around the order of things. You could take out that octave on the top if I did something more like this. Changing direction where I'm going up, down, etc., etc. There are a lot of different ways to practice this. But that was all just thinking in root position for these chordal triads. Check out the first inversion. So if we start, say we're going to start, instead of starting on F, we're going to start on that B flat and do this shape. Up a fourth, then a whole step. And let's add the octave on top. And then move that up chromatically. So it sounds like we're not really in a key, and we're not, right? Because it's moving chromatically, but the structure of these chordal triads make it sound well constructed or uniform. You know, our ears want to hear that structure, even if it's moving around in unexpected ways. So these are first inversions, and these lay really well on the bass, electric, upright, whatever. These, you know, the fourth going straight across, it's always been a little bit cumbersome to me. It sounds cool, but it's kind of tricky to do all that barring across, where that is just lays really well on the bass, right? So let's look at the second inversion, what that looks like. So we've got a whole step from E flat to F, F to B flat, and we'll just leave off the octave on top for right now, because we want to be able to move this around chromatically without running out of bass and getting super high, right? Move that up a half step. So again, we're doing from E to F sharp, that's a whole step. F sharp to B, that's a perfect fourth. And again, you could change the direction of this. You could change the order of them. Whatever, you know, it's fair game. Whatever your ears hear, you can do that. Another really cool way to practice this is not just moving them around in half steps, but consider moving them around in whole steps. All right, so let's do our first inversion of this F chordal triad, or just really the first inversion shape. That's the most important thing we want to get out of this. So if we start on B flat again, play E flat and F. And let's put the octave on top this time. Cool. So now move that up a whole step. Up another whole step to D, up to E, up to F sharp. And we get some interesting shapes that way, whether we're going up or down. You could do that in root position, you could do it in first, second, doesn't matter. Just trying to give you some ideas of some ways to shed this and really get a little bit more creative with how you practice it. So whole steps is cool. What about minor thirds? Let's take that same shape and move it around in minor thirds now. So again, B flat, E flat, F, and B flat. So if we move that up a minor third and keep going, right? You can get some interesting sounds out of that. It sounds diminished, but it's fourthy, and you know, you can figure out what chords go along with all of this too, but that's not what we're talking about right now. You could also move it around in major thirds. Interesting sounds come out of this. So if we started on B flat again with that same shape, we'll do that first inversion shape. If you move that from B flat up a major third, that will put you at your lowest note on D. So what an interesting lift, right? You're not expecting that from your ears, right? F sharp would be our next one up a major third. Sorry. That would be it. F sharp. B flat. D. F sharp again. and you could start that from anywhere just to get some interesting shapes. So work that out, find some creative ways to practice that. Don't worry too much about what sounds or what chords that fits over just yet. Get used to the shape under your fingers, and most importantly, the shape in your ears. Get used to hearing those fourths, hearing those major seconds. Go deep, go all in, shed them like crazy. It's going to be fun. So the tactic we're going to utilize for playing these quartal sounds on chords in particular, or certain sound chord types, is pretty interesting too. So let's dig into that. So in the beginning, when I was soloing over these different shapes, I was playing over a C major 7 sharp 11 sound, and then I was moving into a C7 altered sound, and then to an A minor 11th sound. Just to get started, think about from the third. Okay, if we're in C, the third would be E major. Okay, so let's just play that. If we start on E and then go up a perfect fourth, that would give us A. A would be the 6th in the C chord, right? And then D would be the 9th. So automatically we've got some cool sounds. Here is our root. And that's giving us some harmony that's not scale-based, and it's also not triadic. So it kind of opens up and makes us think in different ways and hearing different melodies. Right, so it kind of gives us that shape, which is really hip. You could also do the same thing from, let's just say, the 6th. Okay, so A. If you start from A, what do you get? A is, as I just said, the 6th. D would be the 9th in C, and then G would of course be the 5th. So nothing really exotic right there. But if you start mixing and matching with some other shapes or some other starting points over this harmony, it can give you some interesting sounds that maybe would be a little bit more unexpected. And again, you can get to these, take them inside, outside. We're not really going to get too deep into this video, but let's look at our next shape. If we were thinking about a C major 7 with a 9 or a 13th in it or a 6th in it, we could start from B. So B would be the 7th of C, go up a perfect fourth to E, that gets you the 3rd, and then A would be the 6th or the 13th, right? Right, and so let's revisit. We've got from our 3rd, so starting on E, and I'm just playing these in root position right now. Then from A, which is the 6th, or down here. Doesn't matter where you're doing it, register-wise, this works either way. From the 7th, which is B. And also you could start this from the 9th if you thought about starting it from D natural, okay? Everything's in C, but if we start on D, that's our natural 9th, or the 2nd degree of the C major scale, right? Go up from D up to G, that gets you the 5th, and of course G to C gets you the root. So that's a real inside type of sound. And it doesn't have a 3rd in it, which is kind of a cool shape to play around with too. To actually not have the 3rds in these chords can be really interesting sometimes. Now I mentioned that we're in a C major 7 sharp 11. So that can get interesting too. What if we started it from the sharp 11, F sharp, and go up in perfect fourths from there? F sharp, B natural, and E. So that can get you some interesting type of shapes that'll all fit over the C major 7 sharp 11 sound. Let's try that out for a minute. Okay, let's hear the chord first. Okay, so now I'm going to start on F sharp and work my way down, just in root position quartal triads. And you can change those around, get into some of the different inversions. Something like that, right? So it's it can just get you some different shapes. That's the whole point. Get you away from maybe some scalar stuff or licks that you maybe are used to, and that's what's up. So if you did the same thing, thinking about the A minor like 11th chord, you could use these exact same chordal triads, but you want to think about them from different starting points. Okay, so if it's A minor, again, we started on, what did we start on? E. So if we started on the 5th of A minor, that's cool. That all fits in A minor, right? If we went to the 6th in C, which is actually A, the root of A minor 11, that's root 11th, dominant 7th. If we started on B, that'd be the 9th of A minor 11, up to E, which is the 5th of A minor 11, and of course the root from D, 11th, 7th, 3rd, and if we hit that F sharp, that could be a cool sound, the 6th of that A minor 11th chord, F sharp to B and to E, and that all fits in there. Let's play along with that really quick and see what that sounds like. So same chordal shapes. When you think root position, there's our root. So again, it's just the relative minor. It all fits in there, right? And it's just up to you to find some creative ways to shape that, and of course practice it in all the keys and practice going from one chord to the next and everything else that goes with that. Let's look at one that's slightly more advanced, and then we've covered altered dominants here before. Basically, if we're thinking C7 with all the alterations in it, flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5 or sharp 11, depending on what you want to call it, flat 13th, then that minor 7th, of course. So you can see that the basic shape or the shell of the C7, we want to keep that involved here too. So we've got C, E, and B flat, which is the root, the 3rd, and the dominant 7th, the flat 7th, minor 7th. I've heard it called a bunch of different ways. Whatever that note is that's a whole step below the root, that's the sound, right? So that's the shell that makes up a dominant 7th chord, you know, without any alterations at all, or that could be any type of dominant 7th sound, right? But if we alter everything else, we would get this: C, D flat, D sharp, or E flat. I've written it here as E flat just for the ease of reading it. E natural, that's our 3rd. F sharp or G flat, which is the flat 5, A flat, which is the flat 13, B flat, which is that minor 7th, and then C again, of course. Okay, that's cool, but what about finding some quartal shapes in there? There's some key places you can start from, and it's actually, you know, once you get it under your fingers, it's pretty easy because we're practicing those same shapes we practiced on the majors and the minors, and with those practice ideas that we were talking about earlier. Okay, so if we're on C, the first one, let's start from A flat. Okay, so if we're going to start on A flat, that's the flat 13th, and I'll play it down here. So A flat, go up a perfect 4th to D flat, that gets you the flat 9 of that C7 altered sound, up a 4th from D flat to G flat or F sharp, and that's the flat 5 or sharp 11, depending on what you want to call it. But there's the root, right? So you get those alterations in there in a really fun way. The next place we can start from is the 7th. So we just hit the flat 13th, A flat. You can also start from that minor 7th. In this case, in the key of C7 altered, it's B flat. So B flat is our 7th. E flat is the perfect 4th up, which is the sharp 9. It's also a flat 3rd if you want to think about it that way. This has a major 3rd and a minor 3rd in it. It's the sound that's important. And up a perfect 4th from there is A flat. So we've got that shape, and again, you can practice those in the different inversions, different registers, of course, but add in that's what that B flat sound, the B flat chordal sound. Go back to the A flat one. Mix and match until it's fun, right? You could also start from the sharp 9 or flat 3rd if you want to think about it that way, E flat. So if we started on E flat, that would of course be that sharp 9, flat 3rd that I was just saying. Up a perfect 4th would be A flat. Up a perfect 4th from there is D flat. Right? All good stuff. That D flat is of course the flat 9, flat 13, sharp 9. And that's our root. play around with the sound of that with our backing track and see what happens. Let's hear it first. So there's our root. So I'm going to think from the flat 13 shape. Cool, all right. So how about from the minor 7, starting on that B flat? Root position, first inversion, second inversion, right? And that's just thinking the 3 notes, those triads. So that all fits, right? Add in the E flat chordal triad now. So E flat, A flat, D flat. I added in the B flat, but that's part of the chord, right? And you get some interesting shapes. You can play around with all of those together. And you've got some interesting shapes that are built of quartal triads. Using quartal triads in some creative ways, practicing them, understanding what they are, and putting them into some solo ideas. You can use these compositionally, of course, as well. And again, these are just the shapes that are more or less inside of whatever chord that we're talking about at the moment. If you start moving things around chromatically in those whole steps, minor thirds, major thirds, get out with it a little bit, you still have the structure there, and it can be a really fun sound to play with. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Bob DeBoo here for Open Studio. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything like that, please comment downstairs in the comments section. Click the link for the free PDF of today's lesson. All right, happy practicing. Peace.